Hello and welcome to this week's edition of iTorah, a parsha which understood metaphorically, as it is in the Holy Zohar, that famous book of Jewish mysticism, as well as in other Jewish works and Jewish commentators, refers not only to the journey of Jacob from his father and mother's house in Beersheba to Haran, the house of his uncle where he was swindled, but to the journey that every soul makes from the presence of God into this world, which can often be a world full of difficulties and challenges. And I hope through understanding the week's parsha, we will ourselves gain strength in our own lives. The parsha commences with the words, Vayetze Yaakov mi Beersheba vayelech Harana. That Jacob left and went out of Beersheba, where his parents, Abraham and Isaac, had lived, and he went to Haran, where his uncle Laban lived, the uncle who swindled him Aseret Monim 10 times. But the commentaries explain that this refers to the soul. The soul goes out from Beersheba. Beersheba literally means the well of oath. And what this means is that the soul comes from a wellspring of souls in the presence of God. And the meaning of the oath, the Shavua, is that before the soul descends into this world, it's made to make an oath that it will be righteous and not sin. And it's this oath which gives it the strength to overcome all difficulties and obstacles, knowing that it's made a solemn oath to God before its descent. And where does it go to? It goes to Haran. Now Haran, of course, means the house of Laban, the country of Laban, but the Hebrew word Haran means anger. And this world is a place of anger. It's a world full of difficulties, challenges, and obstacles. It can be a very angry place. And what is the purpose of this descent? As we find the expression in Jewish thought, Yirida Tzorech Aliyah, that the purpose of every descent is for the purpose of ascent. And looking at the story literally, it's specifically in the house of Laban, the swindler, outside of the land of Israel, that the Jewish people were born. Abraham lived his life in Israel, but from him came not only Isaac, but Ishmael. Isaac lived his life in the land of Israel, and in fact never left the land of Israel, and from him came out not only Jacob, but Esau. Jacob gave birth to 11 of the 12 tribes in Haran, in the angry, difficult house of Laban. And so also is the lesson to us too. That often in the place of obstacles, challenges, and difficulties, we're able to be fruitful and multiply to an extent that is not possible when everything is going well. You see this often in human life as well. Normally speaking, people have got a certain amount of strength. Beyond that, they can't go. But when a person's life's at stake, or when the life of a child is at stake, all of a sudden they find within themselves superhuman strength. They're able to move a vehicle from on top of a child. They're able to move a rock if they happen to have fallen under an avalanche, which under normal circumstances they never would have been able to do. But under situations of extreme duress, they find within themselves strengths that otherwise are impossible. And similarly also, God sends the soul into this world, and armed with the strength of the oath, which has been administered before our birth, we have the ability to find within of ourselves strengths and abilities and talents, which up above in the wellspring of souls would have never come to the fore. And indeed, in the parsha we find the words, was part of Jacob's dream, It says as follows. It says, "V'haya zaracha kafar haaretz," that your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, or faratzta, and you will spread out, or literally you will burst forth. Tzafona v'negba, Yama v'kedma, tzafona v'negba, to the west, to the east, to the north, to the south. And as the commentaries explain, based on the Medrash and other medieval commentaries as well, that although when it came to Abraham, the Jewish people are compared to the stars of the heaven, or to the sand of the sea, when it comes to Jacob, speaking about the multiplicity of Jews which there will one day be, it says they will be like the dirt of the dirt of the earth. And why dirt? So the Medrash explains dirt is something you tread upon, and it's specifically when Jews are trod upon and when they're put down, that they find an ability that under normal circumstances they don't have, or for us they burst forth. And how do they burst forth? As the Kli Yakar explains, they don't just burst forth in an incremental way, but rather Yama v'kedma, from the west all the way to its opposite to the east, from the north all the way to its opposite to the south. For it does not say to the east, the south, the west and the north, but rather the opposites, east to the west, or west to the east, north to the south. That is the power that we have after reaching a nadir, of being trodden upon, of being faced with obstacles apparently insurmountable, to be able to achieve ends which we could never have believed possible. And this too is the lesson that we all have in our lives, as we have seen throughout Jewish history, and we've seen in recent Jewish history as well, that after the Holocaust, when we were almost obliterated, now there is Jewish success in every country on earth. Jewish life bursts forth. Jewish religious life, Jewish traditional life, Jewish prosperity. Not to speak about Israel alone, where the Jewish people have achieved something, a miracle which has not occurred for thousands of years. So when we face challenges in our own lives too, let us not throw in the towel. Let us not wonder too much, why has God done this to me? But let us follow what Jacob has told us so many thousands of years ago. That's precisely after we reach a nadir, after we reach these terrible challenges and difficulties, that we're able to truly uparatzta, to burst forth in a manner that no one could have possibly imagined. For as the Medrash says, the Jewish people are compared to an olive. And just as an olive only gives forth its good oil after it's crushed, so also, for reasons we either understand or don't, we often reach the apex of our existence only after we've been crushed. With best wishes for Shabbat Shalom and much success in all the challenges of life.